Rich from 2RC Productions here, and we are getting ready to start the Tamiya RC Buggy Kumamon version. Basically the Sand Rover, or the Street Rover body, chassis. And this is Grace's, she got it for Christmas, and there's the little bear guy in there, the Kumamon. He's a mascot for like a travel company, I guess, in Japan, and he's pretty well known. So at the start of any kit you ever build, you need to go through and sort all your parts out and open everything up, and you got to have a good workspace. And whether it's a kitchen table or a card table or whatever, you have to have a place where you can work, where nobody's going to mess with anything, or you don't have to worry about screws, you know, rolling away and falling, and you're not going to be able to find them. So I got all the parts laid out, and this is standard procedure. The body is in the box. There's the wheels. I'm sorting out what I'm going to do as far as paint on this. I got my last extra parts servo, Futaba servo, that I'm going to use for this kit. After that, I'm out of extra servos. I just used 3 of them that I had laying around for the last 3 kits I did. We got the cute little 380 motor put out here, which is going to be perfect for Grace, entry level, and it's going to be real snappy. It's got a tiny pinion, you can see it'll be real snappy out of the hole, but then it levels off really fast. It doesn't have a high top end, which is good. And basically I got all the parts laid out up on the table here, as you can see. All the parts laid out, and all the screws, bags A, B, and C sorted out in compartments, which I have marked A, B, and C. That's how I do the Tamiya kits. So there's really not a lot of parts in this kit, and it's going to be a fairly easy build. And I like the chassis. It seems like it's going to be pretty stout and built well. It'll be perfect for her for a first RC. And it actually says on the box, great for a beginner first time build. So this will be pretty cool. I think that's about it. Just wanted to talk about the parts here. Here's the little bear, which you saw in the unboxing. If you watch that, there's a little bear guy. She's excited about that. So we are going to get on to the first part, and I'm going to start putting this bad boy together, and then I'll check in every so often. One thing I did notice is it has a similar, in the differential, it has a similar gear setup, exactly the same gear setup as the CC01 has. And what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to lock out the rear diff on this. They come with a limited slip diff, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock the differential on the back. It'll be kind of like positive traction rear end, so it'll help her a little bit, because she's going to kind of use this with us on the trails, on the light trails. It'll help her get through a little bit more than a limited slip diff would. So, all right, check back. All right, working at step 1 here. 1 is actually charging the battery, so it would be step 2. And working on the A-arms, the front A-arms. They show you the screws to put in, and they got a little node here that shows you arrow facing forward, which we have. So these are just screw pins. They don't even thread in there. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I'm guessing in a step coming ahead, they're going to be trapped some way. But going on to step 3, just so you have an understanding of how the Tamiya kits work. You look on the side here. It shows bag A number 11 times 1. Bag A number 12 times 2, because they're right and left. Okay? And then what happens is you pull those out, and then it shows bag A number 7 screw times 2. Screw pin, it's called. You go into your divider where you got your bag A, and you take it out, and then you hold it up to the piece, and then you can size it, and it matches exactly perfect. Then you know that you got the right piece. That's what's cool about Tamiya. All their screws are actual size. All their fasteners are actual size, so you can pop it up there. So I'm going to work on this front suspension a little bit and get this together, and I'll check it in a little bit. All right, checking back in here. See, I had a little thing here where I made a mistake. I had these screws. I just looked real quick, and I saw B7, and I held it up. Where was I at here? Where was the other one? No, it's one of these screws. Oh, no, it's on the other. Okay. Let me go back to this page here. Yeah, so I grabbed a screw. I saw B. I looked real quick. B. And I held it up there, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. Look close to the size of that. But it was bag A. I just looked at it quick, and it was a wrong screw I had popped in there. They just slid in there, and they were loose. I'm like, somebody right. Well, I saw that the screws came out of the other bin, so they were bag A. So I got those in there, getting ready to put on the outside steering linkage here, so this will go on like this. Got these screws right here. I don't like to show too much of, you know, just putting stuff together here, because it gets kind of boring if you're just watching me pop stuff together. So pop that in there. Pop this screw down here, and then we'll pretty much have the linkage, or the A-arms. We'll have the A-arms all set. Run these bad boys up tight. This looks like it's going to be relatively, like I said, pretty easy kit. There ain't too much to it, which is good. It's a good, perfect beginner kit. So, just wanted to show you that. You got to be very careful that you pay attention to the instructions and don't mix up a fastener or something. Next step is gears. All right, YouTubers, checking in here. Got the A-arm assembly all put together. It's all ready to go. Hub carriers. So I'm going out of the gearbox now. You can see I got all the parts laid out for the gearbox, and like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this thing out, and I have spare bevel gears from the CC01 that I'm going to use to do that, and then this will be a full-on positive traction rear end, so that'll be pretty cool. But I actually made a mistake on here when I was first piecing this together, and it wasn't a big deal because they didn't even thread in there. I just put them through there, and I thought, man, these are loose, they're not catching, you know, whatever. But I matched up the wrong screw. I looked real quick, and I was thinking it was bag A, and this screw was very close, but it was from the wrong bag. So I told Josh from Midlife that if I ever make a mistake, that I will video it. So I'm videoing it right now, and I just pulled them out, put the right screws in, no big deal. But just a reminder that when you're building these kits, you can't get distracted. The phone rang when I first started, and I was talking for a little bit, and then I got back, and you need to have peace and quiet and really study what you're doing. I do anyway. Some people can carry on full conversations and talk throughout the whole build, but I do parts and then I'll pan away and, you know, come back, because you have to pay attention close to what's going on, especially in the gearbox. If you miss something, a pin or a pin or a gear, or something's not in the right place, or you know, you put the wrong screw in the front suspension, you're going to have problems, because later on then you're going to wonder where that fastener was that you don't have, and you could have problems. So you got to really pay attention to what you're doing and take your time, and if you do that and you get yourself in the mode of building, it's really pretty easy. So all right, what you do here is you put the 3 bevel gears in there, and I got the spare parts from the CC01, so I'll show you. I don't want to handle the camera with the gears because it was greasy and everything else, but you have this little 3-star piece where the bevel gears sit on there, and then you drop this in there, and then it rolls around on the other bevel gear on the bottom. Well, what you do is you take, if you can see this, there's 1, 2, 3, and then you take an additional bevel gear, which I left over from the CC01, and you drop it down inside between these 2 gears, and it jams up the whole assembly. Then you take your other bevel gear and you stick your other bevel gear on the top side, and you get that thing centered up, and then you put this cap on there. And what that does is that's going to lock the rear differential and make it like a positive traction rear end, since this is only 2-wheel drive. It'll lock both wheels. Both wheels will spin the same instead of having a limited slip. So I don't know how it's going to work out. Worst case scenario, if I don't like it, you pop it apart and you take it out, but I think it'll be pretty good. It'll give it a little bit more ability to get through some stuff off-road. All right, checking in here. It's got the gearbox all put together, and like I told you, I locked the differentials out. I apologize for the noise, guys. In the wintertime, my furnace is directly behind me and the hot water tank, so obviously today it's about 16 degrees or something, or it's below 0, I guess, with the wind. So the furnace is running quite a bit and it's noisy, so I got to talk a little louder. But normally if I hold this left side and I go to turn this to the right, it would spin the opposite direction because it would be a limited slip. But we are locked. It's fully locked. You see I'm turning and together. It's fully locked, so I wanted to point that out. And this setup on this motor was kind of a pain in the butt. It's got like a motor plate adapter they put on there because this comes with a 380. And normally I wouldn't even bother with the 380. I would put the 540 in it. But because it's for my daughter and it's a beginner's vehicle and it's a starter hobby grade, her first hobby grade, I don't want a ton of speed. The 380 gives it a lot of punch off the line, and then it kind of, you know, levels out. It doesn't have a high top end, which is perfect. But it has this adapter motor plate that's inside there, and it has nuts that press into plastic, and then the mounting bolts come through the backside, and they, you know, just come through enough so they come through the nut and they don't hit the motor. And then they have, I don't know if you can see this, but on the bottom there's like a little plastic plate with double face tape that you stick in there. It's almost like an additional support or shim for the motor to fill this void. And that was really a pain in the butt to get those screws in on the other side to get them to line up and thread in, because they only make a couple threads, and then get this thing in the right position. If this thing is in the wrong position, it didn't want to make up, so I had to mess with it a little bit, but we got that all complete. And then the front, you saw the front, so now the next step is going to be to put the A-arms and everything on the back end of it. So this is a relatively basic build, and Tamiya kits are all awesome to build. The instructions are great. You just really have to take your time and go through the steps cautiously, and it's very hard to shoot a video you know, the whole time when you're building. First off, nobody wants to watch you put every screw in, and you could speed through, you know, and just show real quick how you're putting everything together. A lot of guys do that too. It's kind of cool. You can see the phases. I myself like to do little steps, go through the book, do steps, and then talk about what I did, what parts I did, and get back, you know, and then break away and come back. And as it is, my build videos are normally an hour long or so, because I like to do a lot of yapping too while I'm doing them. But you can see the parts that are left. There's really not a ton of parts left. And this is going to be a fairly quick and easy. I am on going on step number 11 already, you know, and I haven't been on it that long. There's just not that much stuff to it, which again makes it a great beginner friendly Tamiya kit to build. So